All right, y'all, we're reading through the book Hero, and today we're on chapter 9. Ben had his story prepared. If he ran into his dad at the police station, he'd just tell him that he brought Hero to see his old friends. Ben would leave out the part about finding Officer Perillo. Thankfully, his dad was out on a call that afternoon, but the officer at the front desk had known Ben since he was little, and he definitely knew Hero. The older man waved them through to the squad room. Ben, Hero, and Scout wandered through the station looking for Officer Perello. Every few feet, someone stopped them shouting, "Hero!" Uniformed officers, administrative staff, even the police chief all dropped to their knees to say hi to the dog. Hero's tail was going a mile a minute. Meanwhile, Scout cowered in Ben's arms, shaking with fear at the commotion. Ben soothed him as best he could, but Scout's eyes flitted around the room nervously. "So that's the pup your dad was talking about," said a young woman. That was not a woman's voice. Let's try that again. "So that's the pup your dad was talking about," said a young woman as she walked toward him. Ben nodded at the officer, who wore a uniform shirt with K9 stitched on the front, just like his dad's. She held out her hand to shake. "I'm Janine Perillo. You must be Ben." "Hi, nice to meet you," Ben said, trying to grip her hand as firmly as possible. "This is Scout, and you know Hero." "Hero!" Perillo wrapped her arms around Hero's neck. He licked her face and let out a happy whine. "He likes you," Ben laughed. "Hero and I had some fun together. He trained me," she said. "Don't you mean you trained him?" Perillo laughed as Hero nipped at her dark hair. "No, compared to him, I'm the rookie around here. Hero taught me the ropes. Did your dad ever tell you about the bank robber?" Ben shook his head. He held Scout tighter. Perello smiled as she called up the memory and gave Hero a good scratch behind the ears. "It's my very first assignment. You can imagine how nervous I was. We were out searching for this guy who'd robbed a bunch of banks along the Mississippi coast. The guy had an invisibility cloak or something. After every robbery, he'd just disappear. No one could find him. Anyway, this guy just had hit up Gulfport, but by the time we got to the bank, he was long gone. All we had was the note he'd handed the teller. There were no fingerprints on it, of course, because he'd worn gloves. But his scent was on it, and Hero here," she paused to rub her nose on Hero's nose, "was like, I got this." Hero sniffed the paper, followed the robber's trail out of the bank. He led your dad and me into an office building, then down to the basement. I was a nervous wreck because I had no idea what we were going to find. Sure enough, in the boiler room, there was the bank robber, just hanging out and counting his money. His whole trick was to hide nearby because cops always assume a thief takes off and tries to get as far away as possible. Then, when the coast was clear, he'd sneak out of town. That guy was not too happy about meeting Hero. Perello wrapped her arm around Hero's neck and pulled him close. "Hero taught me a lot that day. And he's the reason I joined the K9 unit. He's the best there ever was. Right, buddy?" Hero dropped to the floor and rolled onto his back. She scratched his belly. Ben got goosebumps just thinking about Hero on the job. He wished he'd gotten a chance to see his dog save lives and catch bad guys. "He's pretty special," Ben said. "And it turns out he's also kind of a softy." "What do you mean?" Perello asked. "Hero's tough as nails." "Well, he's both, I guess," Ben laughed as he set Scout down to the ground. The puppy jumped onto Hero's back and began gnawing on his black tail. "Hero's crazy for Scout here, but if you try to come between them, he'll stop you. It's like, I don't know, he's just super protective of Scout." "Aw," Perello said, grinning. "Hero, I didn't know you were the paternal type." Hero's tongue hung out of his mouth. He licked his chops and snapped his jaw shut. His ears perked up as he looked from Ben to Perello and back. "Yeah, it's really sweet," Ben said. "But there's one problem. Scout is really scared all the time. Unless I can get him to calm down, my parents aren't going to let me keep him. Hero's not going to like that very much." "No," Perello said. "I imagine he wouldn't." Hero and I have been trying to train Scout, but I think we need some help. My dad said you're the best trainer on the force. I was hoping maybe you could give me some advice. Oh, sure, Perello said. I'd be happy to. Anything for Hero. She gave the puppy a soothing rub behind the ears. Scout looked back at her with a combination of suspicion and fear in his eyes. You're a scared one, huh? She said softly. It's okay, Scout. Ben couldn't believe it. Scout's little body relaxed. He wiggled off Hero's back and tentatively stuck out his nose, sniffing at the air around Perello. After a moment, she held out her hand. Scout nudged it with his wet nose and let the officer pet his head. Wow, Ben said. He crouched down next to them. Dogs like me. What can I say? Perello shrugged. Have you seen our new training course? No, can I? Ben asked. My dad said it's pretty cool. Behind the police station was, indeed, the coolest thing Ben had ever seen. It was somewhere between a massive obstacle course and a disaster scene, formed by a landscape of wrecked cars, slatted wooden pellets, giant concrete pipes to crawl through, and crumbling concrete slabs. At the far end of the course was a tall structure that looked like a tree house with a ladder leaning up to a landing. Ben watched as a beautiful caramel and white Akita ran across a rickety pallet propped up at an angle. Her trainer stood off to the side, watching the dog move carefully but quickly, skidding through a pipe and hop out on the other side. The dog climbed up the rear bumper of an overturned car. She slid down the windshield, nosed her way around a pile of concrete blocks, and barked 3 times, her signal that she'd found something. Good girl, Mocha, her trainer called out. Come. Wow, Ben said. Pretty cool, huh? We didn't have this when Hero was in training, Perella said. But it's amazing what the dogs can do in there. It's an agility course, but it's built to simulate real disaster conditions. We need to prepare the dogs for whatever they might encounter out there in the field. There are even loudspeakers and bright lights we can use. It's the best way to train them to tune out distractions like thunder or lightning or gunfire. That way we teach the dogs to be totally focused on saving lives. While Perello talked, Hero gazed longingly at the training course and wagged his tail. Ben and Perello laughed and shared a look. Can Hero? Ben asked with a nod toward the course. Of course, Perello said with a wink. Hero, go, she gave the command. Hero took off like a shot. Ben was in an awe as Hero made his way quickly to the top of an overturned police van, jumped onto a massive concrete block, then moved with incredible precision across a haphazard, wobbly stack of pallets. He turned a sharp corner and went over an A-frame ramp. All the while, Hero sniffed everything around him, processing the thousands of scents that had drifted on the air and rested on every surface. All the other trainers stopped their work to watch Hero go. He stepped through a gravel pit and headed toward the ladder leading up to the treehouse. Hero launched himself onto the bottom rung and shimmied up the ladder with ease. Ben gasped. He didn't know dogs could climb ladders. It was amazing to watch. On the landing above, Hero suddenly stopped and sat down. That was what he'd been trained to do when he'd located a find. In this case, a dummy that had been placed there by a trainer. Everyone cheered for Hero. He's still the fastest dog around, Perello said. What a champ. Hero made his way back down and trotted over to Ben, Scout, and Perello. He was barely even panting. Ben gave him a treat. Good job, Hero, he said. He's magic, Perello said, shaking her head in amazement. Scout bounded over to Hero like he wanted to play, too. Perello studied Scout. I think the first thing Scout needs to do is build his confidence in him. Well, what do you say, Scout? You want to give it a try? Scout blinked at her, then looked up at Ben. Isn't he a little young? Ben asked. He's too little to climb up the cars or the ladder, but he can handle a lot of it, Perello said. Ben was nervous. Was Scout going to freak out? He walked Scout over to the edge of the course. Scout, go, Ben said. Scout whined and did a nervous little dance with his front paws. Hero sat by the sidelines, waiting patiently. Ben could tell that Scout wanted to do it, but he was afraid. It's okay, Scout, go. Scout put one paw on a concrete block. Speak from here, Perello said to Ben, putting her hand on her stomach. You're not asking him, you're telling him. Your tone needs to change when your tone needs to change to let him know you're in charge. Ben tried it again. Scout, go, he said, projecting his voice. He heard the difference right away. His tone was fuller and more authoritative. Scout stepped into the rubble and made his way forward. There you go, Perello said. You spoke with conviction. See, Scout heard it too. It'll make him feel more secure to know you're really in charge. You're his pack leader. Scout scurried up a ramp, picking up speed and wagging his tail. He stopped at the top and looked down at the ground, clearly excited by the new perspective on things, but maybe a little unsure of how to get down. He hesitated for a moment and stuck one paw out. Scout was leaning down at a sharp angle, and he didn't seem to like it very much. He quickly pulled his paw back up. Good boy, Scout, Ben said, trying to infuse his voice with positive but firm reinforcement. But Scout was stuck. He was too scared to move forward and had no idea how to get back. The puppy started to shake and let out a sad, frightened howl. Hero bolted onto the course, clambered up the ramp, and stopped right behind Scout. Hero nudged at Scout's rump, trying to get him to move forward, but Scout was paralyzed with fear. Hero nudged him again, harder this time, and showed Scout the route to get down. Nothing seemed to reassure the puppy. Finally, after a few minutes, Hero picked up Scout by the scruff, gently gripping the skin on the back of the puppy's neck with his mouth, like a mother dog does to her babies. Scout went slack in Hero's jaws. Hero carried him across a field of rubble and back to Ben and Perello. He gently placed the puppy on the ground and licked him a few times. Scout's ears hung low and his tail between his legs. He looked miserable. Ben felt hopeless. Is there anything I can do to help Scout? He asked, trying not to sound too desperate. Perello considered this question carefully. He's really nervous for sure, she said. But don't give up on him, Ben. He's still young. He's only been with you for a little bit. You just have to wait and see if it's a safe environment and regular training are enough to soothe his nerves. So what should I do? Ben asked. Keep working with him. Show him lots of love, but be the alpha dog too. Be consistent and positive, but assertive. Check in with me in a couple of weeks, and we'll see how far he's come. Thank you so much, Officer Perello, Ben said. Scout was just starting to relax when a police siren roared to life in the nearby parking lot. Tires screeched as a car peeled out. Scout jumped up and scurried back toward the obstacle course. He wormed his way into a small space under a stack of pallets and hid in the darkness, shaking with fear. Scout, no, Ben called out. Scout, come. Scout stayed where he was, his ears flattened against his head with his eyes big and round. Ben was crushed. He looked at Perello. She was shaking her head. Good luck, Ben, she said, something almost apologetic. He's a great pup. He's had a rough go at it. And someone else will pick you up on Chapter 10. Enjoy.